Okay, so I ordered this oil pressure gauge for the 370 from OpenTop. It comes with, well, first it comes with this big long cable that runs from the sensor to the gauge itself, a new oil pressure sensor, couplet, joint, whatever. The new one goes in the side, this goes into the block, and this is where the old sensor plugs into, so obviously keep the old sensor when you take it out. This goes from the gauge itself and plugs into the power. This goes on the back side of the vent. Quite honestly, I'm not really sure where this goes at this moment, but I'll figure it out when I get to that point. Here's the gauge itself. It goes in the air vent in the driver's side door. Super cool looking. It was the cleanest oil pressure gauge that I found, so I decided to get it and try it out. Anyways, let me get started. First, I have to disconnect the old oil pressure sensor. I do believe that it is a 27 mil. You can kind of see right there, but we'll see. Okay, first is to disconnect the old one, which is right here. There's two sensors right beside each other. There's one here and one here. This is the oil pressure gauge, the first one closest to the oil filter. All right, that's disconnected. And I'm doing this with one arm, so apologies for, I don't know, it being a little off or weird, or the lighting being a little weird. I'm gonna figure out how to hold the light and connect and disconnect things with one arm. Okay, I've already disconnected the wire. Now I'm going to try and get the sensor itself out. And I didn't get it on camera, but I have already drained the oil from the car. Went ahead and replaced the oil filter and put the plug back in, but the oil is drained. I have not put any oil back in. Okay, I've got this adapter piece. It fits a 19 mil socket. I'm going to put it in hand tight first. Make sure it goes in straight. I put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. Okay, you can kind of see I've got the adapter back in the hole where the old oil pressure sensor came out of. I've started putting the new one in on the side. I got it in off camera, my apologies, but I'm pretty much doing this one-handed and it was just a little bit easier for me. When you put the adapter in, you want to make sure it's straight, and the torque is roughly 11 foot-pounds. My adapter did not go in flush, I will say that, but when I took the old sensor out, you can see kind of, it didn't go in flush either. It went into about right here. There was a bunch of gunk on there that I cleaned off. I don't know if it's gonna focus or not, but there was about 4 threads from here down where it didn't go flush. So I'm not super concerned about that. It is the correct torque spec, so I'm gonna let it ride. All right, this one, this new sensor fits a 22 and also a 7/8. I don't have sockets that size, so I'm going to have to use a wrench. We'll get there, you know, a quarter turn at a time. I'll have to get some bigger deep well sockets, that's for sure. And it is also absolutely frigid cold in here. Like, my hands are frozen. All right, I've got the old sensor right here. I'm going to hook it up to the back of this. Okay, I had to put a little bit of blue Loctite on here. I don't know if I mentioned, but I've been putting a little bit of blue Loctite on 3 threads before I put all these in place. So I will tighten this one down just a little bit here in a minute. I'm going to try and get this wire connected, new plug, whatever. It will only go in one way and I can't see. Pretty sure I'm going the right way. Okay, you can kind of see it, but the new sensor is right here and it is hooked up. It's all connected. So now I'm going to connect the old one. Okay, old one's all connected. I'm actually going to zip tie it together down here. All right, I got that zip tied together, nice and neat. Now I'm gonna go up top and run the cord so it doesn't get, like, you know, trapped in anything, reduce the risk of it getting snipped, etc. Just run right down through there if you see it moving. So I'm going to try to route it so it doesn't get caught on anything. I'm gonna zip tie it up along the way. So you can kind of see it moving right there. I'm going to zip tie it to the wiring harness along this right here. All right, I've got it zip tied right here. I zip tied it again right here at the top. All right, for me to run this cord through to the dash, I have to take this part off. I'm gonna run this under the bar here. Through this gap right here where it goes to the terminal. And I'm gonna zip tie it up here. All right, and then I'm gonna zip tie it here. I'm a big fan of zip ties, in case you haven't noticed. Now from here, I don't want to run it over the battery or anything. So I think my best course of action is to run it just along here. It won't get hit by anything or anything like that. Okay, so I've got to cut a little hole through here. Or I could just expand this one. Since I have to feed this through the hole, I don't want this to get like damaged or anything, so I'm gonna wrap it up with a little bit of electrical tape first. Now I'm going to run this through that hole that I created, or the hole that I expanded my sound system cords run through here. Okay, now that it's untangled, I'm running it through that hole in the engine bay, and the cord has run down right here. See, here's the end. I'm just gonna keep feeding it through until it's taut on the engine bay side. All right, it's taut on the engine bay side. There's all the cable that I've pulled through. My car is a little bit of a mess. I haven't had time to clean it recently because it's been raining and cold, so apologies for that. There's the cord where I pulled it through. Okay, so next in the floorboard area, there is a space right here where I have to feed the cord over from the passenger side over to the driver's side. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to place the camera over on the driver's side. Okay, the cord should be coming through this hole right here. Here it is. I'm just going to pull it until it's all the way through. All right, that's taut. I'll have to do some zip tie magic, but for now I'm going to leave this little bit of slack until I get the gauge installed in the door. That way, in case I need this extra little bit of play, I have it. Now this cord gets ran up through here. Before I go any farther, this panel has to come off. Taking this one off, that way this one will come off. Now this cord gets ran through this hole right here. I have taken this off of the carpet. It just screws on. I mean, you only need your hand. And so I could run the cable back behind the carpet. And then I'll just put this back where it goes. then this one, I'll make sure it's under here because this one doesn't go back on until that panel is back in place. Then I'm going to feed this cord up through here. That way it's all tucked in here nicely and it'll hide behind the panel. Okay. And now I have to feed this through this hole here. There is a hole that you can't see. It's roughly right here above my finger. I have to feed this cord up through the hole on the outside. And I have found that the easiest way to do this, because these holes do not line up evenly where you can just push it through. This one is here and the other one's roughly up here a little bit. I'm going to hold my flashlight over the hole and feed it through by finding where the light is. And if you do it that way, this top hole here, if you have your flashlight over the exterior hole, you can see where to line it up at. Okay, and just like that, the cable is right here. I'm just gonna pull it through. All right, there's this little rubber grommet behind the door area. I'll show you where it goes in a minute, but I've got to put a hole in it for the cable to run through it. So I'm just gonna cut the top off and plug it back in place where it goes. All right, you can't see it, but it's back in place. Now that's how much cable I have left. The next thing is I'm going to have to run it through the door, and I have to take this door panel off. Okay, so next I have to take this door panel off. There are two bolts right here behind this little piece that snaps out like that. I'm pretty certain that they are 10 mils. Next, I'm just going to pop the panel off the door. There's apparently some change in there. Pop this out. There's one. There's two. In case you didn't see that, I used this little non-marring pry bar. Pop this open. There's a screw right there. Another 10 mil. Now to get this door panel off should be pretty easy. I'm gonna hold where the vent is and the handle and just pop it off like so. Let it sit here. Gonna let it sit here beside the car like that. I took the window switch out just to give a little more room. All right. Next, I will be running the cord from this side through this rubber piece here. I've got to make a hole. I don't know if that's a big enough pass through or not. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so once I pass this through the door, I'm going to bring the cable through this hole right here. For now, I'm just going to get this cable through this part here. It took about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, but I got it through this hole using a flashlight here and a pair of pliers. I fed it up until it bowed and then I reached in and grabbed it. And there we are. Now I'll just finish running it through. I'll run this end through this little cover that I've already put a hole in. And then I'll just put this little cover back on here. If it will stick, it might not. Okay, next it's time to cut into the power with this other cable. It's got these 2 ends on it, and this is the switch that goes to the mirror. fits in there. That's the one we're going to be tapping into. All right, we're going to be using the white wire here. There's a white and a red. White will be the ground. That's the one that's going to tap into the black wire. I might have to cut myself just a little more room. Like I said, my left hand is not at full function, and this is kind of challenging, and I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm just going to give myself a little extra room. So the white one goes to the black wire, and these just open up and clamp down. All right, that one's tapped in. And now the other one will be the purple wire right here. That's where the red one will connect to. All right, that's good to go. Okay, next is taking out this air vent. You can't really see, but there are metal tabs. Here's one. And you just push them in and the vent will pop out. So that's what I'm doing right now. There's the vent. Next would be to make a hole in this little vent for the wires to pass through. I might have to make it a little bigger, we'll see. Yeah, it's gonna have to be just a little bit bigger. And probably just a little bit bigger than that because the end of it doesn't want to fit in. All right, almost big enough. All right, there's one. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get the other one through. That's quite something. Let's see. Okay, that took a little bit of finessing, but they're both in place. Okay, so next I'm going to be taking apart this air vent. There's just a little screw right here. And pop that off like that. Now I'll wiggle this out like so. That way I can take the correct vent out. I'll be replacing this one. Well, I accidentally got this part off while I was just trying to fiddle around with it, trying to figure out how to get it off. So it sits in here like this, and I literally just used a small pair of pliers and peeled it back that way, and it popped off. So now all the vents are disconnected. The vents do have letters, so it's A, B, C. C is the vent space that the new gauge will go in. Okay, so there's these 3 dots on each side. I'm going to use these little pliers and just kind of push until the vent pops out. That's my plan of action anyways. We'll see if it works or not. And this is another thing where I could really use like the strength of both of my hands, but oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. So now I have this part, and it requires a super tiny hex head. Let me go find that. So it's got these little screws on each side here and here. It is a 2mm hex head to get them out. Allen wrench, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that's what I'm using. I'm being very careful not to break anything. All right, now I will position the vent in place. Easier said than done. 2 useful hands would be very helpful. All right, something like this. Now I'm just gonna get the screw holes lined up. These little screws that I took out will go along the side here. Okay, I've got it lined up right there. You can't really see, but just believe me. All right, now I gotta get this other side lined up. All right. I have got them both lined up, so I'm going to put the little screws in. Lo and behold, I think I have magically lost one of them. Oh, found it right here. Okay. Now this other little piece, that I wasn't sure what to do with earlier, it will hold these two vent panels in conjunction so that when you push it open, they both open together. It replaces this mechanism that I took off. And I do believe that these are the same size as the ones that hold the gauge in. We'll see. No, they are somehow a little bit smaller. I got these little screws out, and if you can see that, it fits just flush in there. So in order to get these in place, I'm going to have to do one off camera because I've got one fully functional hand, but I'll do the other one on camera. Okay, I've got one pretty much in place. I'm having to use my tiny pliers because I don't have a tool small enough for this. I mean, it's... Okay, as luck would have it, I forgot that I had this. Okay, this will be a little bit easier then. All right, and I don't know that it's going to help on this one, but no, that's okay. I'll use my pliers to finish tightening this other one down. Okay, I have slid this round piece and this round piece back up the wires. Now I will connect the wires to the board. All right, that one's plugged up, and now I will get this one. All right, now I will put the vent in place. So these metal clips, there's one top, one bottom. They are direct top and direct bottom. And now this little piece that I took off the old one, the little round part with the screw, it goes back in place where it was. It just holds it all together. And now I'll pop this into the door. Now to put the door panel back on, I'm actually going to kind of zip tie this up out of the way. All right. Now I can put my window switch back in. Cool. Now it's time to put this panel back in place. I have to remove this because I put that there just to hold the wire under the carpet. I need to vacuum my floorboards, but it's super clean. You can't tell that wires are anywhere. This still functions. I will put some oil in and then turn it on and check it out and check for leaks and whatnot. All right, I got oil put in. I'm about to do the first start. I do have to check my tire pressure. So I have to check my tire pressure. I don't know why this won't focus, but let me go and check it out and see if I have any leaks. What it looks like when you open the vent. Super cool. Okay, so this is a follow-up of about a month, and it is voiceover because my outro filmed in slow motion and the audio was all messed up. So I've not had any issues, leaks, anything of the sort. The oil pressure gauge seems to read very accurately. The air vents, the little clip that I had no idea where it went and then figured it out, that allows the vents to still work. You can still flip the vent around and like move it in a circle, and the orientation of the gauge itself moves with the vent, so it flips upside down, so you always have like a reading that you can look at and understand that's not, you know, upside down and weird. So I thought that was super cool. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, later.